Hello, everybody. We're back with an interview for one of the peers at YOUniqueResearch.com. Misty, welcome to this interview. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I would love to hear a little bit more about you. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, please?
Sure. Like professionally.
Professionally, whatever you want to share with the audience.
Okay. I think as it relates to YOUnique, I have been a coach and entrepreneur in the area of intuitive coaching, meaning helping people to create businesses and be in partnership in ways that are actually aligned with what comes naturally for them, so that it creates more ease and joy and all the good things in their life. Besides that, I'm a mom living in Mexico without my kids and having a great time. Great.
So you shared that you already are busy with intuitive coaching. So I can imagine that the purpose paper, like you said, is like matching with that coaching or that type of coaching. So when you had the purpose paper reading done, did it have any effect on you in life in general? Do you want to share it with us?
Absolutely. I think that the biggest impact that it had was just continuing to shine a light on just how diverse we are. You know, we say embrace diversity and we're all different, but in the day-to-day living of that, it's so habitually ingrained that we should be the same. And so I think that the purpose paper had a great way of picking out aspects of character that it can be very easy to not see as something that's unique about you. You could just think everybody thinks that way, or on the other side, make yourself wrong for some of those things and compare yourself to others from that negative aspect as well. So I think the biggest impact that it had was just bringing home how great the diversity is. And I think I'm already a curious person by nature, but I have to say that in my interactions, I've been way more conscious of where I'm expecting or assuming, and to make sure that I'm phrasing things more in a question. What's your experience? To really start getting a clear picture of who the people are that I'm talking to, and also a more validation for myself in the mix of it all. I think that that having my purpose paper done has definitely helped me to embrace things about myself that I'd been working on embracing, that made it a lot easier. And I feel like more in love with myself, which might sound silly, but just from a very nurturing, rich way than I've ever felt before.
That's beautiful. And that doesn't sound silly. Loving yourself is, I think, one of the most important thing in life to do. So it's not silly, from my point of view, at least. So you're sitting in the purpose paper reading, and during the reading, was there something during or after the reading that you were like, wow, that really stood out for me?
During the purpose paper reading, my thing is an emotional, so my frequency is emotional. And so from the purpose paper reading, the weight your wave thing, it stuck out. But at the beginning, it kind of pushed my button, to be honest. I was kind of like, I wasn't discounting it, but I feel like I pretty much am in my knowing a lot. And so it never occurred to me that I had a wave necessarily. I wouldn't have ever looked at what happens for me as a wave. And but since I've been experimenting with it, I have noticed that I can't tell when I'm in a wave sometimes. And so that's interesting. And so I've come to trust um, that it probably is good for me to wait on some decision making, because if I'm on a high, I'll say yes to a lot of things that I won't say on the other side of the wave. So if that makes sense to somebody who's not had their purpose paper reading done, I don't know, but I think that was the thing that stuck out and that I continue to experiment with most regularly.
That's cool. And did you, because of that, change things in your behavior, like consciously? After you hear your purpose, your energy field, your inner authority, all the information that you got afterwards, where you're like, okay, wait, if I change something in my behavior, like, and I try to do it that way, or approach some things in a different way, was there something that you really consciously did, or was it more like a process or something?
Well, for me, a lot of times, once I have an awareness of something, then I start getting like a little snippet of how that plays into this or other things to add to that awareness or that information. So I guess, um, well, yeah. Okay. So, for example, the other day I was speaking with a friend that I see regularly, and he we got into this kind of discussion, and it was kind of getting a little like I was finding myself getting kind of riled up about it. And in the past, I would have maybe tried to taper off my emotional response to what was going on. But because I can now see my gifts in full picture from my purpose paper, like I already was kind of trying to accept those things about myself, but then when you see them laid out, and this is part of my composition, it's how I'm built, right? I could see it was almost like all these gifts in that moment were lighting up on the page. One is the gift of confusion, which is like, this doesn't make sense to me, right? And my gift of my talent of stubbornness, because this idea that we were talking about, some people have been trying to shove down my throat forever, but it doesn't resonate with me. And so I'm like in the bull, I'll dig in. And before I might have judged myself or been like, oh gosh, Misty, or like you should taper it down. But this time I really, just because all those gifts and talents that I could see in myself showing up, I just was able to be neutral about it, about my reactions. And not even only be neutral, but actually even veer to the side of appreciating myself for those reactions that some people could judge as negative, and that I had judged as negative at some points in my life as well.
Yeah, I completely understand how that works. Yeah. So when you're that you consciously decide to take in all the information, it comes up, you're more aware, and then you deal with it accordingly. Let's put it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there also like a way now that you are aware of your own talents and gifts, but also like the energy fields that exist, or we think exist because of the research? Do you approach people in a different way?
To be honest, I I'm only just really starting to get into more of a consciousness around how I'm entering into information or into conversations, um, and trying to pay more attention to, you know, my strategy of responding since I'm a generator. So that's kind of been newer, uh, because in the moment before I wouldn't always be paying attention, but I'm starting to remember that more often now. And I do notice um, that there's a lot more ease there when I do
Okay.
honor
Can
that
you
strategy.
share an example with us about the red energy field, and you already call it the strategy is responding? Is there maybe a example you can give us that you've been experimenting with and that you see that it's different than like it would be before?
Well, what I know is that I have done, and I probably still do, but I'm trying to pay attention now, is that if I'm off on my own thinking and thinking about something and processing, and then I come to a conversation ready to talk about what I thought about and just jump into it, people are like, what? You know, it's like, and so, but then, and this hasn't been because I was conscious of it, but later I would, in after the fact, I would say, you know, when we were talking about this the other day, or you know what, somebody brought this up to me the other day and I started thinking about it and this is what I thought about, instead of just jumping in, it was, it was way better received. Does that,
How does that make you feel?
um, heard for one, because I think that sometimes there would be so much static maybe in even getting to what I'm trying to say that it could be distracting or come off the wrong way, or I don't know what. But yeah, it feels a lot better to know um, that if I can be in the habit of doing that, there would be a lot more ease. I'm a fan of ease.
Who is it? Or I guess I would say everybody would be that, but you know,
But
we
we
know
are
that
all
it's not
different.
true. Do you have any more examples that you have been experimenting with that you're willing to share with us?
Okay, well, I have the gift of listening, which is sometimes hearing what's not being said. And I've always, you know, kind of recognized that, but I never thought about it as a gift of listening. So I approached it differently before. And I would judge myself sometimes like, um, I don't know, like maybe if I'm being too sensitive, or like, again, reading something into something. And not that I have never done those things before. Okay. But when I'm in my true gift of listening, I get instantly what's being said behind the words. And again, I think it brings neutrality, because then I just go, oh, that's what I hear. And I'm not beating myself up for it. And I'm also not getting into judgment about what I'm hearing. I'm just listening. It's a better quality of listening, I would say. If I was going to sum it up, that's another great example, I think. That's been cool. Most of the things I think that have come across from this are um, that have really benefited me is for myself, more appreciation. And I think that to me, that's the key, is when I have more respect and appreciation for my differences and ways, it naturally bleeds out into the people that I'm with, you know?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. For me, at least, it makes a lot of sense. And looking at, because you mentioned you have children, um, is there some, would you say, or do you have an example how knowing your purpose and your talents and gifts, and especially also, I think, your energy field, how would it relate with your children, for example? Do you have an example for that?
Well, I don't really yet because, but I do with friends that are other energies. So I do have some experiences with that. I have some yellows and one in particular yellow. And um, and before, yes, yours truly. And I really enjoy learning about the other frequency, the yellow in particular, because, um, well, there's the yellow energy from what I'm learning can feel to other energies a little bit more abrasive, maybe, or like kind of just like it's so strong that it can whatever. And and I think that what I love the most about learning about my interactions is that I, first of all, have compassion for yellows, because that could be hard to be butting up against that all the time with the other energy fields. And I think because of the compassion and the understanding of a yellow, like how a yellow walks through the world. I mean, whatever the spectrum is, how, in general, how a yellow will walk through the world. It, I guess this sounds repetitive, but it makes me feel more curious and connected and less taking anything personally or going into judgment about something. Again, I feel like a broken record, but to me, that's that's my overall gift of this purpose paper, is because, I want to connect with my friends and my kids. And I really do value, actually, this is one of my gifts I found out, which is like, oh, that's why I'm writing this diversity book and have my coaching like I do. It's because I really do care about somebody being true to themselves and the individual, the unique individual. And I really am curious about that. So I need all the help I can get to really dig in so that I can support others in that awareness. I didn't realize how unaware I was before.
Yeah, I recognize that too, because I was always thinking that I was really aware, and then there's a whole another set of layers that go way deeper than that even. So yeah, I can relate. And purpose paper reading, how did you get involved with the purpose paper reading? How did it came about?
Well, I met this cutie Dutchie, Mariska, at an Airbnb of all places in Mexico. And right off the bat, we kind of clicked, and we both had the way that we were talking. I knew that we had a lot of stuff in common. And then it didn't take too long till you shared that information about YOUnique, and I was instantly intrigued.
That's
And I
cool.
do know I heard about the human design stuff, which is, I know a foundational part of how Monique started building the business, or this research. But very little, just basically the manifestor generator. I mean, that's as far as it went. I've been exposed to it. Somebody did the assessment on me before, but that's where it ended for me.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. That there was an assessment. How would you compare those two? The assessment with the purpose paper?
Well, I feel like, I mean, it was a while back, but I feel like it was just kind of this general, at least what I was given after they did my thing and said, oh, you're a this. Then it just said, oh, well, this is, there was just a very basic a very basic thing that I wasn't sure if it resonated or not. The purpose paper, however, is way more detailed than what I got from that thing. And also, I'm at a different place in my life. So, like, I've done a gazillion assessments over my life, and there's been very few that have actually been able to become tools for me. Like I'm a fan of the horoscope and a Taurus, but and you could hear all day long, oh, Taurus are stubborn, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, I am. But then what? So what I like about what differs from a lot of assessments is that the way that the purpose paper comes out, it becomes something that you can work with. It's not just that you're identifying like this, you can actually use it to embrace the qualities and actually understand the purpose for those qualities instead of just going, oh yeah, this is how I am. Like, you could see the value,
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you other Tauruses out there, but if you're being called stubborn, you're not necessarily thinking that's a good thing. Although I did at some point, because I was like, well, once, if you think I can't be anything else, then I just better accept it, versus knowing from the beginning that it's a gift would be really nice,
Yeah. And by the way, that doesn't necessarily mean that when you're a Taurus, you have the gift of stubbornness. There can be a difference in that. So
That's true. So
yeah,
yeah.
that's a little side note. So
Side note.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So I think we covered already a lot of things. Thank you for sharing that. But I would like to know just one more thing from you. Is there something that you would like to share with our audience that you're like, yeah, this is really important to know, or maybe an inspiration that you want to give out to them, or whatever you want to share?
Oh, it kind of makes me teary. Honestly, I think that this type of tool, um, if all kids could be gifted with this type of tool, if it could be incorporated into schools, if you're a teacher or a coach or just a mother or or a father, and or a manager. I mean, it's really for everybody, but the I just think it's so important in order to thrive on the planet to be able to strengthen your strengths. We're taught pretty much to that we're supposed to be good at all things, and we're trying to get better at the things that we think we're weak at. But then we just get a lot of better weaknesses instead of just being able to do what we're here to do, and without diluting that power, I think. And so I guess that's what I would say, is that if you don't have it, you deserve to have a purpose paper reading. It's really, if you choose to embrace the information and do your own research, it can be life changing, and so validating. And just like I like ease, I love peace, and I think everybody deserves to be seen and validated. And so we got to start by seeing and validating ourselves, right?
Yeah,
So
true. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Misty. If you are triggered by something in a positive way, and you're like, okay, I want to do a purpose paper reading with Misty, go to www.youniqueresearch.com/peers. I will give a little note in the video that you can read it at the end of the video. Go there, read a little bit more about her, because she also has a bio on the website, and then you can invite her to do your purpose paper reading. And thank you, Misty, for coming out and well, coming out. We're inside, but still coming out online to meet me for an interview. I hope you like
Well,
doing it.
thank you. You're a lovely little interviewer.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's always nice to hear. I apparently have a gift too, but I don't even know that I have it. I'm just doing it. It's just happening. So, if you like what you see, go to the YouTube channel, YOUnique Research, and there's more interviews to see there. There's talks about experimenting and experiencing things with the purpose paper. That's me and Christine, another peer. We are talking almost every week on Monday live. There's also videos of our founder Monique explaining about energy fields and what is energy and what is this research about. So please join us at our YouTube channel, subscribe, and we hope to see you soon somewhere online, probably. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Misty, again. See you
Thank
later.
you.